We have real estate tips for everyone on today's show. We have a good variety of topics we will be chatting about today. We're going to do another Q&A style episode where we just go down the list and answer all of your questions. And we have everything from tips for buying, selling, investing in real estate to getting started in real estate, becoming a real estate agent, career advice, all types of things. So a little bit for everyone today.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Jumping right in. Before we get started, I actually I just saw an interesting statistic that I wanted to share because I thought this was kind of cool. New data shows that homes with patios jumped just a little bit higher in 2020. So it's actually never been, new homes with patios being built has never been over 60% before. But this year we reached that mark and we went over. Now it's at 61%. So I just thought that was kind of interesting.
I wonder if that's because of like an upcharging cost to have the patio
Possibly.
built, or the way I see it too is a lot of these newer constructions or newer homes, I should say, they have smaller lot lines, and so they have less of a backyard, and they're maybe wanting it to be a secondary entertaining
closer
place.
Together, not. Yeah.
And then there's less maintenance too.
Yeah.
No landscaping to do. So that's
Definitely.
interesting.
And
though.
maybe like 2020 more people having like outdoor living spaces so they can do things outside, have people over outside. I don't know.
You could reference it to like a 2-car garage, and now basically everybody has a 3-car garage. We always need more and more space.
Yeah.
Maybe people like more outdoor entertainment with their smaller yards now. That's what they require.
That could be. All right, so our first question for today's Q&A says, I'm about to finish up my final course and take my state and national exam to get my real estate license. I'm still trying to choose a broker right now. I want to go into this whole thing as mainly a listing agent like you did. I have 2 kids, and working with demanding buyers just doesn't sound appealing to me. When I say I want to be a listing agent, people just laugh and say good luck. How did you establish yourself this way?
I wonder why people laugh and just say good luck.
Maybe because they know, statistically, most real estate agents work with buyers, and especially most new real estate agents are not listing heavy at all. So I think that's probably why they laugh, because they're like, oh, it's harder. But I don't know that I would even say it's harder. It's all about where you put your focus. Like, who are you marketing to?
Yeah, it's a completely different job, and that's why, for the audience out there, understand and realize there are differences between sellers agents and buyers agents, listing agents and buyers agents, whatever you want to call it. And
starting out, we were extremely listing heavy, and our business has shifted a little more. Where lately I've been working with more buyers, and you work with a lot more listings than I do. But up until recently, we really didn't. We were very, very, very listing heavy.
I always tell people, like, when I'm talking to them, and like, for instance, I work within the community often, right? So, and I coach at Cascade. I'm a wrestling coach there. And a lot of people coming back to my community that I grew up in, they're saying, hey, Spence, what are you up to? What are you doing? I see that I had one comment say I was a lender at one point.
A lender.
And I was like, no, actually. And so I constantly have to kind of re-educate people and just let them know kind of what I've been up to. And it's real estate. And there are differences, though. Listing is a lot harder, I would say, in a sense, because I always ask myself, how can I get my foot in the door? And that's it. And what are you more passionate about, too?
Let me say this. I would say it's harder at first because it's a lot easier for a brand new agent to just go open up the door for a buyer and facilitate the transaction.
Yes.
It's harder at first, but once you get the skills down and the systems in place, it is easier. But it takes a while to get there. But the reason it's harder is because it takes more time putting in. There's just a lot more you got to get good at. Presentations.
It would seem to me it's a challenge getting, once you've listed it, you got to find the buyers for the house. And so you got to figure out, how do I market it? How do I get the word out, right?
Yeah,
that's true.
And that's true. And that's kind of like that next question or step as to, like, for instance, I was on the phone earlier this week, yesterday. It's only this is the beginning of the week. But anyways, I was on the phone earlier this week, just to leave it at that. And we're on a cold call, and I'm searching for sell by owners at this point. And there's always the comment constantly being driven at you and saying, why? You're just an overpaid marketer. Why would I hire you? And that's the beauty in that question that I get to relate to and revert back to my actual skill set, my jobs. And actually, no, this is like you went to school, right, to become a mortgage lender or mortgage broker, right? You had to get licensed. Well, same thing applied for me. I had to go get licensed within this real estate exam and pass the national and state side of this exam to do what I do. It's a lot more than a marketing professional. Yes, right. There is a lot of marketing.
You wear a lot of different hats.
Yeah, you wear a lot of different hats.
But
you're a GM, right?
Yes. But to kind of circle around, because I feel like we didn't actually, I didn't really answer the question. Maybe you did. But to circle back around, the answer to that question, how to actually do that, I think my biggest thing would be to target people who are wanting to sell and get really good at that. Say, for sale by owners, that's one thing I did. It could be Spencer does a lot of expired listings. Find just one way at least, and then just get really good at that instead of trying to do everything.
That's probably the best advice you could say, is try to be really good at one thing before you do all the things.
And that applies to like everything.
Kind of life.
In life.
Right?
That's kind of how I think of everything. You can be really good at one thing, or you can be decent at a bunch of things, but focus.
Yeah. So one thing you said that really kind of shocked me. There are actually houses that go through expired listings in today's day and age.
Well,
there are.
Really?
Are.
Serious?
Yeah,
not as many, but there still
Most
are.
Definitely, yeah. I remember 2.5 years ago, kind of pre-pandemic,
pre-crazy insane market.
Yeah, man. At the end of the month would be my usual days of gathering that month's of expireds. We'd be in like the 70, 90 homes going expired monthly. There's probably a lot more than that, but that's just that ballpark figure that I remember seeing on the MLS, gathering all their information to call
and even with today's economy, there's still some.
Yeah, right now, I mean, by far there's less. There's probably 10 to 15. So
there used to be a lot more.
Yeah, on my my call center that I buy into, another fee that comes into real estate. I have about, I would say, over 300 plus contacts to call, and that's through expired listings since the beginning of 2020. So everything's in the follow-up is like I like to say, and so that's why I like keeping people in our systems for me to reach out to. It's not just one phone call. There's usually more to that, which we may talk about later.
Yep.
All right.
This next question kind of made me laugh. It is, what is the best way to buy your first property in your opinion? And I guess the reason is because there is no one best way to buy your first property, in my opinion, if that's what you're asking for.
Yeah, and it's like, if you wait forever, it's just never going to happen as well.
Yes.
So like you can be waiting for that perfect property, like a lot of us are, this one specific area, having this much bedroom, this much bath, this much square footage, this much a yard, and it just could never happen. It could take years. And
sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Okay, I just had something it reminded me of is when we bought our first house, I remember we had a lot of people saying, you don't want to live on that side of town, whatever. Like, we still bought it and made money from it. And then we bought our next house, and a lot of people were saying, you don't want to buy a townhouse. It's 3 stories. You don't want all the stairs, whatever. But then we ended up living, we had somewhere to live. We weren't paying rent. And then obviously we weren't going to live there forever. We made a good amount of money from it and sold it. So like, it doesn't have to be the most perfect, ideal property for you. Like, I'm very thankful, even though both of those properties were not ones I would have wanted to live in forever. I'm very thankful we bought them because they helped us get to where we are now.
And I guess that comes to be like, you and we have an open mind about, hey, there's potential. We're not just looking at directly what's in front of us. Oh, this is forever. Oh, this is going to be the end of the world if this isn't just fitting every boot.
Yeah.
There's things to be done in your life, and we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't have that crystal ball, of course. So ultimately, I think what's important for you in this time of need, are you going to be happy? Let's not talk about money, but let's talk about the home. Are you going to be happy there, and can you make it work? If the answer is yes, then let's move on to the next steps in making this a reality for you. A lot of things, I mean, with a couple of clients of mine in the past, is fear. They're just completely scared, and I've had to really, really just relate to that, but then also open up and say, is this a realistic expectation of yours? Do you really think you want to buy a house right now, because after we've shown you, 10, 20 homes, and yeah, we maybe have written 3 offers on some of them, but they just weren't realistic offers.
Right. Because none of them were ones that were like, we need this, they were that motivated for.
Yeah.
I know what you're meaning.
So like you tell me the offer, I write it up for you. Like that's kind of how it works. I don't twist your arm and say, hey, this is the offer and that's it. I respect my client. We have that boundary and don't get the role reversed. I work for you. You don't work for me. So my job, I get you in the house. I can give you that professional education, let you know what the home value is worth, what is predicted, that market, the area, that type of thing, statistics, stuff like that. But then ultimately it's up to you to want the home, have the will to get an accepted offer. And unfortunately, there's only been a handful of people, like I'm probably 4, I would say, that I just had to relay and just say, I don't think I'm the right broker for you, because buyers sometimes forget, that how it works for me. I don't get paid until anything closes. All this gas, all this fees, all these showings, all this time away from my family,
Yeah.
It's for nothing unless we get under contract. And I don't do the job to just think about money in a way, but ultimately this is my career. This is our lives. And at the end of the day, I do get a paycheck if the home closes. So you got to be aware of that.
See, I'd be asking the question to you, what do you think it's going to take for me to get this closed? Where do I need to go? And then I have to decide whether I want to invest that much money or not. But you're the expert. I'm just the novice out there looking, and I'm looking at you as my agent saying, all right, so that house is listed at $275,000. I mean, what do you think, given today, am I going to have to go like $300,000? Am I going to have, what do you think? Yeah. And I would respect that from you, and I wouldn't be thinking you're telling me what to do. You're just giving me feedback to help me, if I really want that house, what I have to pay for it, right?
Right, yeah, right. And that's where we're at, relying on that professional opinion, but especially in this market too. Yeah. I mean, nobody kind of even knows if their offer is going to be accepted or not. Yeah, we've seen less offers being presented to the sellers. We see like 8 to 10. A little. Now we're only seeing like 3 to 5, but still that's multiple offers here. Right. And so it just takes one to get selected, and you got to be willing and not just living in fear of overpaying on a home, maybe by $10,000. Well, look at it as a long run investment, $10,000 over a 30-year fixed amortized loan. We're talking like maybe $10, more a month. If you're budgeting about $10 a month and not wanting to buy because of that, maybe we shouldn't even be in the market to buy. You know what I mean? $10. If that's going to predict your life here, we probably shouldn't be in the purchasing.
Of course, the other option is how much will the bank let you have, and of course, absolutely, and of course the banks a lot of times won't loan above what the value of the house is projected to be, right?
And that's to protect the buyer. You're obligated to your appraisal value. I just had an appraisal come in low on one of our listings, and does that happen? Yes. Is that a bummer for the seller? Yes, but that's also a conversation I've had with him periodically through this whole selling process, and that's to let him know the realistic expectations. Now, somebody else, if I accepted a different offer that was even $20,000 more than the offer we accepted, ooh, man, he was expecting and counting on that $20,000, and we chose that one. But ultimately, we got to come into realistic terms here and say this thing has to appraise, and so we got to go with the best offer for you guys. And that's a reality, though. Your appraisal is to back you to not overpay, and in this case, every buyer has the right for that because we're not doing cash sales, if you're getting a loan. So
I remember when it seemed like right in the heat of this crazy, insane competitive market, it seemed like in a certain price range, at least, most of the offers that were getting accepted were ones where the buyers would offer to go like X amount over appraisal value, pay cash over appraisal value, which was like, oh, it's for the buyers that don't have that much extra cash laying around. It was very difficult and frustrating to get an offer accepted. I'm thankful we're not seeing as much of that lately, but man,
to look back,
that's crazy,
and to revert back to and that was only a few months ago.
Yes,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
like 2020 was crazy.
Yep,
in real estate.
In 2021,
you're paying like $20,000 over appraisal value, guys. Like this is hard cash. That's amazing.
Yeah.
If you're in that position, though,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
All right. So next we have, can a real estate agent lie about how many offers there are on a home, and what do you have to say about this? Okay, so just to, what I have to say about this is, I don't think something that a lot of people realize is that there's a difference between someone who is a realtor and someone who is just a real estate agent. So anyone who gets their real estate license, they're a real estate agent, but not everyone who's a real estate agent is a realtor. We are realtors, which means we are part of the National Association of Realtors. You have to get sworn in, and you're held as a realtor versus just a real estate agent. You are held to a much higher code of ethics. You have much higher standards, and if you definitely could lose your license,
and you
should, for lying about that. So has it happened? I'm sure it's happened before, but that's not something that should be done. Next question is from somebody who is newly licensed, it looks like. They said, I am officially licensed with Berkshire Hathaway here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am 22 years old and wanted to know your advice for starting real estate so young. I love the company, but am the youngest by far. Okay, what I have to say about this is I
love this question, by the way.
I feel like we get asked it a lot. So I got into the business when I was 18, so I went through this a lot. But Spencer also was young. He joined me a few years after I got licensed. I think you were like 21.
Yeah.
Were you 21?
Yeah,
so
21.
he was still young. But when he got his license, I got questioned a lot more about my age. And he really never got questioned, and he still does it. He never got questioned even though he was really young when he got licensed. And there's three things why I believe that's the case. The first one was he simply was confident. He was very confident. He would walk into situations, he didn't question himself, and so the sellers didn't question him. And secondly, he dressed very, very professional all the time, even if it was just something that didn't require being dressed that fancy. He always had nice suits on, and because of the way he dressed, people assumed he was much older than he was. And thirdly, but probably most importantly, but they're all important, is he over-prepared. He was over-prepared for every appointment and did just an over-the-top job for all of his clients. And so that made, I think it was all of those three things combined that made them not even question you.
Well, thank you, Mariah.
You're welcome.
That's like a compliment within itself. But also, I mean, seriously, if you're a listener out there and you're another real estate agent and maybe you got into the business young and you're still getting that question, YouTube it. But then also, Brian Costello, he's really good. I like following him on YouTube as well. There's a lot of people. I know, but he's a really big door knocker.
Yeah.
And when I first got into real estate, he was just one of the handful that I listened to and watched. And he said everything he does, he's always in a suit, and that's something I really grasped on. And, if you only have one suit, that's okay. Go get like 3 different colored dress shirts to put under it, and you'll be set, and rotate them. Not just saying a suit makes you, but it's how you feel too. I remember, and I revert this back to when I was doing athletics, is if you feel good, you perform good. If it's one of those things. And so I was looking good, I felt good, so then I performed good. I wore my brand, I wore my thing, and I created a brand for myself that made me feel so confident there's nobody else that can compete with me and that's better than me. And I just revert that to real estate. There is no other agent better than you are. And now I'm talking confidence if you haven't picked that one up. There's no other agent better than you, has a better presentation, has a better comp analysis. And that's where the over preparedness comes into play, because you've put in the work, you've put in the effort. And guess what? It's okay not to know all the questions. It really is. You get a question from a seller that you just don't know. Don't just make something up off the top of your head. I've never really wanted to do that. And a really good response is, which you can find online anywhere, how to respond when you get asked that prompt, is, you know what? I don't know that right now, but let me get back to you in an hour. I can email or text it to you.
And that brings in the importance of having a great company and principal broker that's backing you, that you can turn to find the answer to. So you need those people in your life. That's important.
they're all part of your team. And that's where your branding is everything for you. And the people that you surround yourself with is only going to grow you as an individual, but then also grow you as a professional within real estate. And that is our ultimate goal. I shared this a while back. I listened to a guest speaker with the Ritz-Carlton Hotel chain, and everything is professional with them. And the way they structure their business, the way they talk to people, the way they book clients, it's so professional that it's flawless. And that is what my goal is and was to bring to our business, especially when we first started.
Yes, and you did. All right, let's just skip on to the tip of the week.
Let's do it.
Run out of time here. All right, so our tip of the week is if you, so I know a lot of you listening to this show are on the radio are probably already living in our area. You're probably local here, but if you're not, or if you are listening online, because I know we have listeners online from all over, and you are thinking about moving to the Salem, Oregon area, shoot me an email and I will send you a list of places to check out if you want to come to the area, local businesses and places to visit. And 2, I will send you a list of like a route to drive, where to start and finish, just to kind of give yourself a little driving tour of the town and get a feel for the different sides of town.
That's a super good tip.
Yes, I like it.
I want to take a drive too. Send me a good address.
I'll send it to you, Spencer.
Yeah, help me out too, Mariah.
Okay.
That's it for this week. Thank you for listening to Mariah and Spenc on